Blog Talk Radio.
Life seems to crush your dreams, so find your balance for all you need. A little work, some family fun. Find your love, keep your life on the run. Told you how the story goes, so write your own script before you grow old. Live your life, laugh out loud. Own who you are, stand up proud. You gotta find what works for you. Find a valley and die, let you be you.
Good evening. For the first time in 2023, welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. And it is a lovely Wednesday evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where we are live broadcasting to you. And joining me tonight in the co-hosting chair, if you would like to call it that, the lovely, the vivacious, the wonderful Holly Phillippe. Hi, Holly. There you are.
Hello. I don't know about how vivacious I am, but I am here. We have been battling a horrid sickness that took out the whole family, man, at Christmas,
Yes,
and I'm still
I was
in
going to
bed,
get to that.
but I'm on the mend. I did make dinner, and it didn't set too well with Stephen, but we're trying to get back in.
Yeah, it was. We did not intend to miss the show last week, but we would not miss it if we were mildly sick. We would push through. We've done it before. But yes, as Holly said, I mean, it was one of the worst sicknesses I've ever had in my entire life. And I was sick for about a week and a half, and Holly's still getting over it. But she's a trooper tonight, and we wanted to bring you a big show with one of the best guests you can possibly have on a podcast. So we are here, and we are excited, and we want to kick off the new year right. And we certainly are doing that with the guests we have in store for you. But we were very sick last week, and it was bad enough that there wasn't going to be a host, so we just couldn't do that to our guest. it was rough, but we do hope all of you had a wonderful holiday season. Whatever you might have been celebrating, and definitely hope you had a safe and happy New Year. Ours, obviously, you just heard more or less what ours was. Not exactly the festive party time.
There was no ringing in the New Year. We were literally in bed and was watching TV, and I was like, "Oh, is it even midnight yet?" And you were like, "Yeah." And so, we didn't watch the ball drop. There was no drinks, and usually we have a house full of people. It was just me and Steve and the cat in bed, sick. So, it's true. And hopefully they say, it come in like a lion. So hopefully the end of the year will go out like a lamb, Yeah,
a little bit better than that. But, we definitely did not do anything crazy. Nobody in the neighborhood shot off fireworks. Usually that happens on New Year's Eve. Somebody somewhere in the neighborhood shoots off the fireworks.
Heard.
And you're like, it's midnight. But we heard nothing. I mean, there was like nothing. So literally, I mean, we were kind of like, oh, yeah, it is past midnight. didn't even click with us. Man, it was too funny. But we have been watching a show that both Holly and I have enjoyed called You, and has a new season beginning in February, 4th season. Writing is excellent. Love the main character. Very dark-edged and a little twisted, but a hell of a show. I mean, it's a hell of a good show, and it has a book theme because the main character has a bookstore, and there's a writer theme that kind of goes through it, and literary theme and books, and that kind of weaves its way through all the seasons. And books are very much a present part of the plot and storyline and setting, and it is great. Love it. And
let me tell you, we even sit last night because, and now I'm on chapter 5. I read through some of it today, and Steve's going to start reading it. Is Tender as the Night? Is that correct?
Yeah. That's Scott Fitzgerald.
It's
That's right.
Scott Fitzgerald.
His fourth novel.
And me and Steve actually, while watching the show last night, looked up and got his complete works on Amazon. You can actually get his complete works
pretty
for
cheap.
like, what was it, $2?
Couple bucks,
on Amazon
because it's public domain.
So we got that, and we're going to read it because it mentioned it mentioned so many books in the movie, and I'm like, you know what? I've not read that one. And Steve's like, I haven't either. And I said, well, yeah, we decide to read it together and discuss it as we go. I said, we'll have our own little book club. So.
Our own little book club.
Yeah.
But it's his fourth and final novel as far as Scott Fitzgerald goes, and of course more known for
we'll see.
The Great Gatsby. Of course, is the one that everybody reads in high school, but this one is said to be his best. And so Holly was able to get into it a little bit today. I had to hold down the fort in the work front, but Holly got to read a little bit today while she was recovering, and she said that it and you can speak on this, but you indicated to me that the writing is just exquisite.
Oh, it is. It's written at I believe it's a higher level than the Great Gatsby. I mean, he can say things with very few words, but the words he uses is potent and paints the picture in the mind's eye so vividly and exquisitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's writing at its best. It is. It's at
top
its
notch.
I'm
Very
really
cool.
enjoying it. That's what I said. I'm starting chapter 5, and it's I'm burning right through it. I'm also reading. Stephen got me the new Suzanne Collins' The Hunger Games novel. I've been wanting to read it since it come out a while back, but it's the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it's like the prequel. It tells the story of President Snow when he was a mentor in the 10th annual Hunger Games. So it's showing a different side of Snow and a background that we just didn't know before, and it's fascinating. I'm about 150 pages into it, too. I started it the other day. Yeah, I've been so sick, I'm in bed. I'm watching, TV and reading. That's what I'm doing. I haven't felt like, doing emails, and I have been answering messages the past few days and a few things. And I did make dinner tonight for the first time in like a week because I was laying here and I keep thinking about cooking because anybody knows me knows my love of cooking. So I made a spatchback chicken and some potatoes, with the olive oil and rosemary and all that good stuff. So, we haven't ate a home-cooked meal.
First real meal.
No, we've been eating, Steve, and me, he's been eating like the yogurt, and we've been eating bagels and cream cheese and, applesauce or bananas.
Being careful.
Bananas.
Yep.
Being very careful because with this upper respiratory thing comes a stomach thing, and Steve violently purged last week. And
well, they don't want to hear. Our audience does not want to hear about that.
They
don't want to hear
all
much
about that, but I'm telling you,
don't.
It was horrid and made him very weak. And then I thought, well, I'm going to not get that. But then the other night I woke up about 3 a.m. and, oh, my God, it was not funny. And it lasted for about a day and a half. And I took the Alka-Seltzer and all that good stuff. But, we've been ordering groceries in and hunkered down, and here we are. But, it literally went through the grandparents, the grandkids, us. I mean, I've still got one granddaughter, Addison, that's pretty sick. She's lost, I guess, quite a bit of weight this week, and the only thing she kept down today was a popsicle because her throat still hurts so bad, and she's just not doing well either. So,
everybody's
it's
down,
around.
and that's why. That's why we had to cancel last week or postpone. So just so you know, it wasn't frivolous. I promise it wasn't because we were having fun. Yes.
I'm not
and we will
ignoring
be getting back
you.
to things. Nope.
But
we did get some
But
announcements.
I'm not ignoring you.
But we did get some announcements of some new guests, and I do want to acknowledge them. Kicked off the year with some good Imaginarium. Well, ended the year and kicked off the year with some good Imaginarium announcements. We did announce that award-winning filmmaker and author Amy Lee McCorkle is a spotlighted guest. And also joining Amy as a spotlighted guest in that group is Jason William Allen, who will be performing live at Imaginarium. Fantastic painter, performer, poet, actor, filmmaker. I mean, he's truly one of those Renaissance types, does it all, and actually has 8 albums to his credit with his bands that he's had. Great guy, too. Had a phenomenal booth. I mean, one of the most well set up and presented booths in our expo, and but he'll be out joining us as a spotlighted guest. And then we had a quartet of great panelists we announced, and some of these names you will know from the show. We had M.L. McIntosh, who has also got a rock band as well, and I'm curious to see if that might work out, that she will be performing at Imaginarium. Nathan Day, award-winning author and filmmaker actor, is going to be coming. Also returning for the first time since, I believe, the second Imaginarium back in like 2015, but returning is Brady Allen, which I was really excited to see. Great author out of Ohio, and he's got several reissues of his short story collections coming out on Cemetery Dance, the publishing company Cemetery Dance, and he'll be joining us next summer about the same time that's happening. So we might be doing something to celebrate that. And then also Gregory W. Brock, who is, from what I hear, submitting a new feature film that he's doing with Jacob Ennis. He's a filmmaker, screenwriter, and also is a children's book author. Has a one out and more on the way. So definitely going to be a very nice mix. And we keep, like I said, our list keeps growing and growing. So get ready for that. And so let me get to our sponsors real quick, because I do want to get our awesome guests on the show with a proper Imaginarium style, Star Chamber show style, all these styles of introductions. But tonight, bringing you the show is the one, the only, the amazing Sandy Linder, the genre blender. And then you'll be able to answer that big question right away here in 2023 with Ren Garcia, who is also bringing you tonight's show. So first, let me give you a spot from Sandy. Definitely you want to pick up her stuff, and thank her for supporting the show. All right, here you go.
The latest release from author Sandy Linder is Book 3 of the Fairy Holiday series titled I Know What Your Vampire Did Last Summer. It's a standalone story in the series, but it's got all the fun, humor, horror, and sweet paranormal romance you'd expect of a Linder Blender vampire satire. Come on down to the Naples Hideaway and Marina for a fun and romancy vacay. But watch out for the Grendwolves and the random femme fatale who thinks she's competing for your vampire's attention. Pick up I Know What Your Vampire Did Last Summer by Sandy Linder today.
Thank you, Sandy. You are awesome. And yes, hopefully we have some big things rolling out here soon with Sandy here, so early in the new year. And then we're going to be shooting over to Ren Garcia, and we'll answer that famous question. Here we go.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
Yes.
Yes, Ren Garcia,
yes, Ren.
We indeed are weird enough for you.
You are. And it's about to get a little bit weirder. And Holly, what's that? It looks like our radar's picking something up. Our radar is picking something up. Whoa. Looks like it could be. I think it might be. We're looking into it. Our radar is picking up the signal. Our radar network is picking up the signal. Yep, I'm going by the studio door right now, and it looks like a lot of excitement out there. Oh, let me get the door shut real quick. Yeah, it's a big crowd out there, and you know why? Because tonight, kicking off 2023, the pride of Sicilian Americans everywhere, the man who put Wichita on the literary map. Yes, the author of Why Not Wichita, a fantastic filmmaker, a brilliant author, and now the founder and CEO and executive producer of an amazing new YouTube channel called Copa Catania, which contains his name, the one, the only, Peter Catania is joining us for the first time in 2023. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm here to drop bombs on all of you. I'm glad you put out the siren.
You got the air raid siren. We spared no expense on tonight's show. None whatsoever.
I hope everybody's wearing their helmets like I am.
We are.
Yes. Be prepared.
We are prepared. And getting ourselves healthy in time for the show. So, yes, because we did not want to miss this one because we've been looking forward to your imminent return. And so we've been kind of really counting down the moments, and here we are. And, wow, it's great to have you again. Great to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to kick off the new year with you guys, honestly. It's like coming home. You guys were the first ones to interview me. And here I am again, kicking off the new year. So it's only up for everybody after that.
Well, you've been busy, and I'm telling you, I mean, I absolutely love your new YouTube channel. I mean, it is fantastic, and I've been enjoying all the episodes, and I will say that one of my guilty pleasures is that I do like Barry Manilow, and so when your channel was named, and there is actually accompanying lyrics that could be sung to the tune of Copa Catania, I mean, I just thought that was brilliant.
Well, I do believe you were there for the first iteration of the naming of the channel, and I do believe you witnessed the origin to the naming of this channel. And as I said before, if my name of the channel, Copa Catania, makes me a Barry Manilow fan, then you could call me a Fanilow.
Yes.
I can't name another hit that he's done other than Copa. I want to say Copa Catania now, but you know, he did sing. He sung Copa Catania. Everybody, download it on iTunes.
That's true.
There you go.
Yeah, he's had a couple more hits. I remember him having at least an hour and a half worth of material at the Vegas show I saw him at. I went to see him with my mother and sister several years back, and fantastic performer. I mean, just amazing. But he's
apparently he's still performing because Sandy Linder, who's in the chat room, says she has tickets to a Manilow concert on the 14th of this month.
See, I knew Sandy was a Fanilow just like me.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, this really doesn't help me with my street cred in the hardcore punk scene like it used to.
No, he is awesome, and but Barry is a unique talent, just as you are, Pete. And yes, you've had some gems so far. I mean, I've had some highlights with your episodes that I found particularly awesome. Like when you did your coverage of the latest Predator movie, which is personally my third favorite in the series. I thought it was awesome. I also loved your review of The Northman, which I think is an amazing film as well. And then your defiant declaration of Die Hard as a Christmas movie, that was awesome. And then your take on Avatar, and I mean, you've just had a string of episodes that have just been amazing. I mean, since your channel launched, and it hasn't been that long, and you've gotten hundreds of new subscribers, and it hasn't been all that long that your channel's, I mean, about 3 months, I guess.
Yeah, it's only been about 3 months. I started this on my birthday because I thought it was going to be like a good luck thing, and apparently that's true. I mean, start your YouTube channels on your birthdays, everybody, because I don't know, I don't know why it's taken off the way it has. Well, I thought that when I first started it out, by the end of the year, I might have had 20 to 50 subscribers with maybe 1 or 2 comments, maybe 10 views. But it's just taken off like a rocket, and I can't really define it or describe it. It's just one of those. It's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and apparently I've done it without even really trying to. And it's a very humbling experience to even have it happen the way it has. But I don't try to take it for granted one bit, and I just keep doing my thing and keep putting out these videos of reviews of movies that I like or dislike, and try to put my spin on it, and I just keep rolling with the punches, and so far it's been good, knock on wood.
You just never know till you put it out there. It's hard to predict people, you know. It's the same way with a book or anything, you know, any kind of art or anything you put out there. You don't really know, you know, the response you're going to get. So that's always a great feeling when, you know, you're getting an overwhelming response like that. So that's amazing. Kudos.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, if you told me 3 months ago that I was not only going to have a YouTube channel that was on the up and coming here and exceeded all expectations I ever had for it, but also host a live show on Monday nights with 3 great co-hosts on, his name is Cannoli Sasquatch's channel, and he's a great host. And I'm co-hosting with him with 2 other great co-hosts. And if you told me that was going to be happening by the end of the year, I would have called you a liar. I would never have thought that this was coming my way, and it's just a blessing from God. And I have nothing. I'm just ever so humbled by it all, and I'm just trying to soak it in as I go here.
Well, you have a great background as a filmmaker and editor, and so this is kind of like you're bringing it all together with your YouTube channel activity now, and it's good to see that come into play for you. And I think the reason, in my opinion, why I think your channel is resonating so quickly is because a lot of today's, you know, popular YouTube channels, and I'll just regurgitate like studio publicity department talking points, and they sugarcoat things, and they never, you know, they're afraid to criticize anything. But I mean, you bring out the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, even for stuff that you clearly like, I mean, you'll still give constructive criticism about certain things in the shows. And so I think that's the refreshing thing about your show. You don't sugarcoat it or gloss over the crap. And I love that. It's badly needed out there.
Right, and I think that's part of what I saw as an audience member, and not so much as being a part of the industry, was who do you go to trust to review your content for you these days? You know, back in the day, you had Roper and Ebert and Siskel, and you had all these people who genuinely would tell you if a movie was good or bad or not. And nowadays, it just seems like everybody who's in the mainstream, especially, is kind of a corporate shill. Like, you could just see, like, you look at Rings of Power. Yeah, you look at how, and I'm going to bring this up, and Steven's just going to go on a rant after this, but
you already said the bad words.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Here we go. Now you've done it.
Yeah, here we go.
Now you've done it.
I know. I've opened up the gates. But you see how the reviewers treated that, and you go, absolutely, you know it's crap. You look at the previews and you go, that is just a god awful rendition of Rings of Power or Lord of the Rings, but the reviews are like in the 80%. And that's another thing too, is you see like on Rotten Tomatoes the discrepancies between actual audiences, paying audiences, versus the reviewers who are part of the mainstream. And it's such a discrepancy that you can tell that these people are bought and paid for. So I wanted to bring something to my channel where you knew that no matter what, you were going to get my honest take on what I watched. I definitely watched the movie. You're definitely going to get my honest opinion on that film. And I never want to take that away from my audience. I want them to come to me to be like, okay, well, what is honestly going on in this movie, if anything? You know, I could have easily just said Avatar 2, Way of Water was one of the greatest films of 2022. It's an absolute stinker. There's no story to this movie. and I would not be doing a service to myself or to the audience if I sat there and said otherwise.
Right. Well, I've got a recommendation, and that's one we watched the other night, and it has so many layers, and I won't go into depth about it till you see it, is White Noise on Netflix. It's the new one with Adam Driver.
Okay, I've heard
movie
some.
Is well written.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've heard some noise about that movie, and I've been wanting to check it out. So under your recommendation, I'm definitely going to check it out. I'll probably review it now.
Yes. Please let us know, because me and Steven were like, whoa. You know, at the end, we're like, whoa. And Steve's like, we should go back and watch it again, because then if you watch it the second time, you're going to catch so many more nuances and Easter eggs and depth to it by going back once you know where it's ended. It's something. I can't wait to see your take on it.
Okay, yeah. I believe that was by Noah Baumbach, and he's kind of a hit and miss. I remember a film he did called, what's it called? Frances Ha. And Frances Ha was a neat little film that was a neat little character study about this woman who's going nowhere. And really the film feels like it's going nowhere, but then when you watch it at the end, you go, I feel like that was a good movie, and I also feel like that was a really terrible movie. And then you realize the whole point of the film is to not go anywhere, because Frances isn't going anywhere either. And so once you get into that groove and you rewatch it, it's kind of a good film. So, yeah, I can see how he kind of brings that rewatchability to White Noise as well. So that would be an interesting movie to watch.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's one that I really love to get your take on, Pete, because you come into it with a really thorough understanding of the mechanics of filmmaking, and also you come into it with the mechanics of storytelling and in terms of your analysis. And I mean, there are some YouTubers out there, like I'll mention one, Desparu, who I love because he absolutely eviscerated that crap in Rings of Power, and he goes in and I mean, it's like hour-long episodes where he just absolutely tears it apart scene by scene by scene, and for me it's very entertaining to watch. But with you, I mean, I think it's more palatable because you are able to condense that type of laser eye into and make it entertaining inside a 7 to 10 minute video. So it's something that people are able to, I think, to consume, much easier than like an hour-long format. So I think that you bring the same kind of depth of mechanics and understanding of storytelling into it, and you get that in 10 minutes. And that's what I think I love about your channel.
Yeah, thank you. With writing, it's the same thing with writing, where when I write for an audience, I don't want to sit there and write something where when they first open the book, they crack open the book and they see a mountain of text that they have to climb, and all of a sudden they shut it. And I know people look, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, at that timestamp at the bottom right corner, and maybe they look and see like something like Desparu or some other people on YouTube who are just wonderful at taking apart a movie for 3-4 hours. And but they see that a lot of people probably see that timestamp and go, I don't have 3 or 4 hours in my day. I don't have an hour and a half devoted to a movie that is also an hour and a half. So I wanted to make sure that things were palatable, and exactly what you're saying, and along the lines of like, look, you could take your break with me. Hey, take your break. On your lunch break, you can sit down, watch one of my videos, figure out if it's something you want to watch. And then we can move on with our day, because I understand that you have a busy day, and I don't want to take that for granted and stuff like that. Not saying that someone like Desparu does take people for granted for their time. I just don't think I have it in me to break down something for that long. It's just not in my deck of cards. Right. I think what he does is excellent, and I look at that and I go, wow, that is truly a talent to be able to sit there and do that. But yeah.
To dissect, yeah.
I want to get Holly to watch him sometime.
go watch it.
Yeah, I want to get Holly to watch the Sparrows sometimes because he is just it's fun. He's a British guy who absolutely has that British wit and humor, and he just totally applies it. Yeah, it's so funny, and he just
There's something about those English with their dry sense of humor that it plays off so
Fantastic.
well. It irritates me that I don't have that.
Yeah, lately his destruction of the Willow series has been just absolutely delightful. That one's evidently even easier to destroy than Rings of Power, and I don't even want to know what he's going to do to Witcher Blood Origins because that was reviled by both critics and audiences.
Yeah, one of my co-hosts, Vex Electronica, she told us all like I couldn't even get past the first or second episode of Blood Origins.
No. I haven't started yet. I'm going to, but I haven't yet.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Steve's going to watch it with me, but I'm going to watch it.
Oh, no. I can't take it anymore.
No, you're not going to watch that? You're not going to... Yeah. I can't take it anymore.
Pretty much anything that gets released... Anything that gets released in the fantasy genre anymore, I just assume it's going to be awful anymore. It's bad now.
Yeah.
Wheel of Time, it's like Witcher, Blood Origins, Rings of Power... Willow, keep going. I mean, they're awful. It's just not.
Yeah,
good
it's like that with everything. It's just not the fantasy genre either, right? Like, I remember back in the day, you had to sit there and fight for. You had to fight for what you wanted to watch. You're like, oh my God, there's so many good things that have come out, like that I need to catch up on. And now it's kind of reverse. It's like, oh my God, I have to sift through all this crap in order to get to the one good thing that came out this year, like a Top Gun Maverick or Everything All at Once, or Northman. You have to sift through all this stuff. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. It's incredible how bad our culture has gotten to the point where you're literally hard pressed.
It's redoing the same thing over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
And expecting the same outcome. That's insanity, right? So, why do they keep doing this? I don't – there's so many writers out there that would give them great stories. There's slush piles of stories that are just sitting in boxes that need to be told. That would be great. And then what really gripes me, and I joined the petition. I didn't even tell Steve about this. He has not seen it. I don't know if you have, Pete, is – $18.99.
Oh, I haven't heard about this petition. I haven't seen $18.99.
There is a petition. If you go on Twitter, #save $18.99. You can find out where to sign this. It's had almost 50,000 signatures in 2 days since it was started. I'm one of those. It was so mind-warping, and the writing was so fresh and new idea. And I told Steve he really needs to go watch it because it actually hurts your brain there. Of course, a little bit you're thinking, what in the world, and you actually question, are we indeed living in a Matrix-type society? Watching this, I mean, it is incredible. And they got rid of it. Why? Because it is something fresh and new, and I guess
because it's too good.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. You can't have that. You have to take a franchise that is beloved by everybody and then completely destroy it. That's what gets renewed. All these Star Wars shows now is there just to completely ruin your Star Wars experience, and they keep making them. And you go, why?
I know.
Other than to ruin my Star Wars experience.
Well, I think, Pete, the thing is that it's such a simple concept, and I don't know why it's so hard. And I'll give an example from your channel where you pointed it out brilliantly, and it's when you did your coverage of Cobra Kai, Season 5. And that is an example of a show that embraces its audience, shows that it loves its audience, shows that it cares about its audience, and delivers what its audience is looking for. And it seems to me like a simple concept, that none of these fantasy series seem to be able to get, but Cobra Kai did, and I think that's a secret as to why it's done so well, you know, as a series over there on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Cobra Kai does not talk down to its audience. It doesn't try to teach a bunch of adults what tolerance is or anything else like that. They take their legacy characters and treat them with respect. I mean, they treat Johnny Lawrence with respect. They treat Daniel with respect. They both are adults now. Their lives have kind of went a certain direction, but they're still the same core character from the originals that we know and love. And it's so interesting, like with Amazon and what Amazon's doing. Amazon cannot do fantasy at all. They've ruined The Wheel of Time. They've ruined Lord of the Rings. But on the flip side, what is so interesting is that these military fictionalized dramas like Reacher and Terminal List are perfect to a T. Like, if you've read the Terminal List, it is perfect. If you've read the first book, or Reacher, it was called The Killing Floor, it is to a T perfection to what The Killing Floor was as a book. And you go, what is going on at Amazon? They're almost manic over there because they ruin all this fantasy. Now, I've told everybody this before. I'm not Mr. Fantasy guy. I like fantasy movies. I enjoy fantasy shows. But I can't sit here and name, you know, the secondary characters in the background. I'm just not that guy. But I feel so bad for someone like Steven who has to put up with this crap, where they're fans of this thing. They're fans of this thing for so long, and then they get crapped on. And then Amazon has the guts to turn around and say, are you going to thank us? When are you going to thank us for doing this for you? And you're like, what, for crapping on me? No, absolutely not. I'm not going to deal with you anymore. I'm not watching this stuff anymore. So it's really interesting, especially with Amazon. They seem to really get it right with the military fiction. But when it comes to fantasy, man, they drop the ball, and they do it on purpose. They just doubled down on Amazon. Amazon just doubled down on Rings of Power. They said that they were going to switch things around after season 1, you know, to reflect more of Lord of the Rings. And then it's come out in the last maybe 2, 3. Yeah, they were going to reflect the lore a lot better. That's what they lied about. And then they turned around and said, no, we're just going to continue to do the same thing that we were doing in season 1.
I guarantee you they used more money in the making of that than HBO Max did on House of Dragons. What do you want to bet?
And exactly. And House of Dragons is apparently killing it. I refuse to watch House of Dragons because I got burnt on Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones season 8. Oh, God.
Right.
We won't talk about season 8.
Right.
That was
season 8
painful.
burned me so bad. That was like the dragon burning the chair, the Iron Throne, was like burning me. I was like, this is me. I'm the Iron Throne right now. You're melting me down here, HBO. I refused. When they announced House of Dragons, I said, absolutely not. I'll watch it when everything's said and done, and I'll give my piece. But until then, I cannot drop another like 84 hours of my life just for the last 8 to completely ruin the experience.
Right. I'm taking a gamble, Pete, and my logic is that they can't. It was so bad that I didn't think they possibly can do it again. I mean, that just make a mistake that
then
bad.
They haven't. House of Dragon is phenomenal. Holy moly!
Well, it could be. But Pete could be right. Pete could be right. Though. It might get to that last season, and they may screw us all.
Well,
yeah. I'm just saying.
It's not like we're going to be shocked.
Hey, I'm a gambling man, and I'm telling you, I'm not putting my chips on House of Dragons.
We've been there, done that before.
Well, it might be because the other ones. Okay, Pete, it might be because the other ones are so unbearable, and I have a passion for fantasy that I just got to watch something that at least is good in the present.
Hey, you know what?
Probably
right. That's probably it. But my thought is like, look, if you enjoy Rings of Power for some odd reason, if you enjoy it, good for you. Great. Go
absolutely.
ahead. You want to enjoy House of Dragons? Great. No one's clamoring for Copa Catania's take on House of Dragons, so I'm in the clear. I don't have to watch it. Stop it. No, you're not.
I am. I love your takes.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean,
but you never know what you're going to cover. I mean, because your channel, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, 1 minute you're covering like Prey, the newest Predator movie. Another minute you'll be covering the new Dahmer, show that was on. The next minute you'll be doing the new All Quiet on the Western Front. I mean, that's the cool thing about your channel. It has so much variety. I mean, it's not just like one type of movie. I mean, it's got already. I mean, it's got a spectrum. And I mean, you've even covered some popular international film like RRR, which you got 57,000 views on so far. I mean, that's impressive for a new channel.
That was absurd.
I'm surprised Stephen has not brought up what he is now obsessed with, and where we both kind of are. We're watching
give him time.
At least a couple episodes a day. Is You, the show You.
You. Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
You.
Oh.
On Netflix.
It's diabolically good. It really is good.
Okay. Yeah. I've watched like the first season when he was putting everybody in his basement in glass boxes.
The cage.
And I was like, wow, what a concept. So I'll have to keep on top of it.
Yeah, we're on 3 now, and it just snowballs.
Okay. So my question is how long can he keep putting people in glass boxes in his basement?
Oh, he's slippery. Wait till you see how he pulls this one off. I tell you,
clever.
They actually have some clever. It's clever how he gets out of these jams. It really is clever how they get him out of there.
Great.
Yeah,
really,
and it has a passion for writing and literature. Because if you remember, I mean, he was the owner of a bookstore, and the main character in the first season was also a writer, an up-and-coming writer, and but that continues throughout the series. I mean, the presence of books and the importance of books to his life, and I mean, we were commenting earlier. We even listened to him talk about Tender as the Night, the 4th Fitzgerald novel, and Holly and I even realized, God, neither of us actually have read that one. And so, so I mean, if you have a passion for literature, I mean, it actually has a great respect and passion for it in the show. It's pretty nice undercurrent to kind of follow it through.
Yeah, we want to read more of these books that's in the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, we got to figure out what that one is.
Well, wait a minute. Are you watching You for the entertainment, or are you watching You for book recommendations?
Both. At this point, maybe both. I mean, it's a.
Both
I will say it's well written.
Yeah.
It's not a. This is not a. I mean, like I said, it's very dark edged, but it's a very well written show, and they really do have some really interesting plot twists and stuff that you don't see all the time. So I mean, it's a breath of fresh air compared to the usual stuff that you see. We liked it. I mean, so it's they're heading into season 4.
I'll have to catch up on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried. See, with a show like that, and I don't really know too much. I've seen like the first half of the first season. And but with a show like that, what would concern me is something like Dexter, where it goes on too long, where it's just like, like how many
could happen?
How many killings? Right.
No, but it's progressive. The story, the character has an arc. There is a character arc to it, because he does get a conscience. He does these things because he thinks he's doing good. He doesn't just kill to kill. He thinks that he's doing some kind of good, and it's to protect the people he loves. And then, then it gets caught up. He's got to protect his own ass. But, it's always about the people he loves. But then underneath that is this dark psychosis of stalking and just being compulsive. And Stephen always feels sorry for the poor guy. I'm like, no, Stephen, he's a psychopath. And Steve's like, but he's just trying to perfect his art. Leave him alone.
You have to explain this to Steven. You're like, no, Steven, he's not sympathetic, dude. Like, he's a kill crazy maniac. Do you not?
He's just trying to perfect his art.
I mean, it's such a good character, though. I mean, not good as in moral good, but I mean, just such a well-conceived, written character. I mean, it's just I just love that because it's just I don't always see that too often in books or movies these days. I mean, just when you really have a really interesting character with a lot of depth and edge, and this was one. So I mean,
it's always great. It's always great to write an anti-hero that is such a bastard that when he does like 3 or 4 good things that brings out his humanity, you go, wait a minute, why am I feeling really good for him? And then he does like a bastardly thing again, and you go, oh, that's right, he's a jerk, I forgot.
Well, this will get you because I won't give you spoilers, but he is very protective of kids. And there's a reason for that with his own life. But he's extremely protective of kids, and he does right by kids, and that's all I'm gonna say. And so he does have moments where he truly is heroic and a hero, and everybody in the room is going to root for what he does in certain parts of this. And I mean, he does the right thing, and so that's what makes it complex, because he's got this, it's got the dark, it's got the light, and it's just such a contrast.
Well, that's what always makes that's what always makes a great compelling character, right? Is that dual nature of humanity and what you're capable of. It's supposed to show you, like, hey, a human being, your male protagonist or whatever, he's capable of really dark stuff, but he's also really capable of being loving and nurturing and affectionate as well. So you get those two dichotomous forces together, and you got yourself a really good character that it keeps everybody on their toes too about him as well, right? Like, what is he going to do next? Is he going to hug somebody, or is he going to stab them? Is he going to hug them and stab them? It's always great. It's always great, especially as a writer, to play around with stuff like that. So I can see how the writers.
We have a comment in the chat room, and it's from Pass It to Johanna, I guess her name is, or Pass It. Anyway, she said he's a good person. He just does bad things. I said that's what Steven said.
Yes, that's pretty much it. I mean, I can't condone everything he does, but there are times that, he's definitely doing good for some, especially on behalf of some kids and stuff in it. And it's one I think it'd be fun to get your take on it, at least at some point. But I mean, you on your channel, I mean, you've got some, I mean, things where you've really gotten into the writing of great characters, and one example of that from your channel is Yellowstone, which Holly and I do intend to dive into pretty shortly here, because you convinced me, Pete, and because of you, I'm going to be watching the series because of your discussion of writing and how to write great characters that is contained in your coverage of that one.
That's exactly what I'm talking about here. Is every single one of those, the family's called the Duttons. That's who you follow. You follow the patriarch, which is Kevin Costner, but every one of the Dutton family, including the adopted, actually everybody in the show really is a dichotomous character. He's loving and nurturing to his family. Kevin Costner is loving and nurturing to his family, but the only way he can show it is through his ranch. He can't really show affection to his children other than the legacy he's going to leave them. So that kind of leaves them kind of going, always fighting for his affection that he can't give other than through the ranch. And what's funnier is that the kids, a lot of them, can care less about the ranch. They could care less about the legacy he's trying to leave them. So it's just such great dynamic characters. They all have a dual nature. They all do things that are just so disgusting, but at the same time, they all do things that are just, they touch the human aspect and their humanity. It is just a well thought out show. It really is. It's one of the best. And like I said in that review, if Tyler Sheridan, the creator and writer of Yellowstone, if he continues down this route, if this entire writing team continues down the route that they're going to be listed in the top, at least the top 20 shows of all time. They'll be in that discussion.
Wow.
When this is all
right.
said and done. That's if they if they keep it going.
Because Holly and I watched the. Oh, go ahead.
If they flub up if they flub up the last season like they do Game of Thrones, no, like it will all go away. But as of right now, that's all I'm saying. It's incredible. Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I was going to say that Holly and I did watch the one in the 1800s with Sam Elliott, that one, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We really liked it. Very grim, not a feel-good series.
No.
I know Holly's kind of chuckling because everyone is like, "Oh God, it's going to get worse. Oh God, it's going to get worse," and it did,
and it does, and it does.
It does. Yeah, but we loved it, and we are going to watch it. I think it's sequence is what we're talking about. We want to see the one from the 1920s that got. It sold me when they said they had Helen Mirren, who I love Helen Mirren. Yeah, and I want to see that, and then we're going to follow that right into watching the full Yellowstone series.
Oh, interesting.
So that's
you watch it chronologically.
I'd love to have that foundation of just having the full background.
Oh,
and then,
that's great.
Bring it to present because that would tie in. Because if he's about legacy, then that is that backstory is the talking about how the legacy was formed. And so that's,
exactly.
I think that would be a fun way to watch it, and that's what Holly and I talked about and wanted to kind of tackle it that way. But since we hadn't seen Yellowstone yet, since we are able to choose what order we watch it in, I think that's the way we're going to tackle it. But it's we love the first one with Sam Elliott. So I think that our hopes are high, especially if it impresses you because you're not easy to impress. So if Pete gets a blessing,
I mean, I have a certain threshold for things. When things get bad, when you put out a bad piece of art that is so bad it's good, like The Room. We've discussed The Room. You and I have.
Yes. The Room. Yes.
The Room. I appreciate The Room like
Tommy
it was a 10 out of 10.
Masterpiece.
Tommy
Wiseau.
Yeah. I did not hit her. I didn't. Oh, hi, Mark. I mean, how do you beat dialogue like that?
You just can't. It's just, that's just masterpiece level work right there.
I would love to get Tommy to Imaginarium. The only thing is, I would probably choke him out because you know he would be such a diva. You know he would. And
of course.
I mean, I love Tommy Wiseau. He's hysterical.
It's hilarious. So I appreciate bad art for what it is. I just do. But it's when it comes under the guise of good art, and then I'm told that it's good art. And then they get these huge budgets. They have these once again, Rings of Power, $1 billion budget. You got to be kidding me. They actually staked $1 billion on this thing for 5 seasons without putting a frame down in the hard drives. And they put $1 billion down. It's stuff like that where I go, no, you deserve to be raked over the coals for your hubris. But someone like Tommy Wiseau, who has no idea what he's doing, and he has a budget of like $3, and it comes out so bad it's good, man, I'm going to appreciate it just as much as I do The Godfather.
Of course. Yep, there are those films like Troll 2. That's another one that falls in that category. So bad it's fun. And there are others.
Is that the where he's like, he's going to eat us, and then he's going to eat me? Ah!
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Oh,
no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the movies are so bad they're good. Yeah, that's a fine line. There's an art to that. Oh, another one, Velocipaster. If you ever get to see on Amazon Prime, Velocipaster.
I know, I've seen that. No, I've
another
seen that
masterpiece.
3 or 4 times now. Oh,
Ninja Templars, man. Ninja Templars. I've never seen Ninja Templars.
And then the Velociraptor ninjas show up. Or he fought the ninjas as a velociraptor. That's right.
He turns into a velociraptor that looks like one of those blow-up T-Rex doll things.
Right. But see, that's exactly what I thoroughly enjoyed Velociraptor when I saw it. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times now. And the thing about Velociraptor is that he went into it going, I know I have a budget of about $200, and I'm just going to stretch it so thin that it's just going to add to the comedy. Yep. It was brilliant the way he did it. He did not care. He I'm sure there was at least one semi-professional on that set that said, you shouldn't do it this way. And he was like, yeah, but I don't have the budget for that, so we're just going to shoot it with the inflatable Velociraptor instead.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
In the beginning, do you remember the beginning of that one where they actually had the graphic that came up that said exploding car? They didn't actually blow up the car. They just had a little graphic that came up that said exploding car. And so that was to tell you that, yes, that car blew up.
It's so cool.
And in my mind, it was a spectacular explosion. So I guess it worked.
Exactly. So, it got your imagination going. So he has the audience working for him. He's brilliant. I can't remember.
Never seen that in a movie. Never seen it.
No, I mean, doesn't it remind you? It reminded me of Monty Python's Holy Grail, where things were so cheap that they couldn't afford horses. They just had to have a guy banging coconuts together behind the guys who were pretending to ride horses. So stuff like that, where it's like it's so cheaply done, and they know it's cheaply done, and you're in on the joke. It's brilliant stuff. Velocipaster is one of those brilliant movies that I don't think it's talked about enough, but it truly is a comedic gem. When you find anybody who finds that movie, I don't know anybody who's found that movie and did not like it.
So what you're saying is when Imaginarium gets big enough that we can just dedicate like one screening room to celebrate these kind of movies, we could do like a run where we have Troll 2, Velocipaster, then like end it with The Room as like the grand finale, but like have a whole string of these. And that would be
just call it
a dream come true.
Call it the B block. Call it B block.
Yeah, the B. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, just call it B block and rock, and then just sit there and play all these B movies that are so terrible that they're good.
Yeah, that they're good.
And you have to end it with The Room. I don't know what other movie you would do it on. I mean, but Mystery Science has an entire library that you can poach. You can do Monos, the Hands of Faith, Deathbed, the Bed That Eats. You've got plenty. Yeah, you got plenty to go off of.
Fertile Ground. Yeah, and Extro. If you remember a 1980s sci-fi movie called Extro. Oh, it's so bad, it's good. I can't get Holly to watch it. She will not watch it. She will not watch Extro.
No desire.
What's it called? Extro?
Extro. XTRO. And they actually made 2 sequels. I am not kidding you.
2 sequels.
Yeah. It's very bad. But it is also another one of those.
Mystery Science covered them? Oh, great.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
His lovely wife in the chat is saying something about a bird emic. Bird emic. BIRDEMIC. She said it's one of the best.
Oh,
Birdemic is another gem?
Too. Another so bad it's good. Now, he, on the other hand, you can tell, was taking his stuff very seriously and had the budget of $2. So, like, take the level of actings of, like, Troll 2, and instead of a troll attacking people, it's birds. Like, he really was trying to go after Alfred Hitchcock with this thing.
Oh, my God.
But whenever the birds attack, God, what would be the best? It's almost the CG in that is so bad that it looks like they just put bird stickers on front of the camera and just kind of wiggled the camera in front of these people, and they told the actors.
I've seen those clips. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's awful, and it's good. And you can't help but laugh. It's just so good. Birdemic. Everybody check out Birdemic. If you like The Room, you'll love Birdemic.
Our audience is going to be so thankful tonight for all these amazing recommendations that we're giving.
Some new gems.
We like you, Holly. Yeah. We'll get when you come up to Kentucky and get to visit us sometime, we'll force Holly to watch Extra. We'll get her to appreciate that masterpiece.
Oh my
God.
God.
Science.
It will be my first time too, so it sounds like I'm really going to enjoy it.
Oh, you would. If you like those other movies, you would. Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh God, that's good.
I'm coming up to Kentucky tomorrow.
Hey, so we're finally getting out of the woods on the illness, so it's perfect timing.
Pray the life.
Thank God you both are feeling better, by the way. I'm glad
a little bit.
It's been harrowing.
A little bit.
Holly's not back totally yet, but she wasn't going to miss tonight because she thinks the world of you. And it's Peter Catania, by God, so we're going to go the extra mile here. But I am coming out of it a bit. You know, I'm not going to say I'm 100%, but I am holding the fort here now. So that's getting a little better. But
you guys sound great.
But,
you could have lied and
said
that you weren't ill at all. I can't even tell.
Well, yeah, we're excited to be here, and But I want to get you on another subject that ties to your channel, and that's how all the movies today, and we kind of touch a little bit in some of our conversation, but there's so much stuff that just reboot, remake, rehash, and there's so little. But every once in a while, there is you might get a little bit of a gem, and I do recommend people check out your coverage on the latest All Quiet on the Western Front. That one also got a few thousand views on your channel, but I thought you did a really good job breaking that down. And that one is a legacy kind of film because it had, of course, is based on an iconic novel, but it also has previous incarnations of the film that are also highly revered. So that was a big one in a way to kind of like be willing to tackle again and give it its own voice in a way. And I found it different from the other two, but I thought they did a really good job of the core message. And I think that's more or less what you reflected in your review, which I thought was just amazing. But but that's an example of where the reboot actually wasn't something that I was raging about. Oh God, another reboot. You know, this was actually one I enjoyed and was excited about.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when you take a classic novel and then, of course, the silent film is considered a top tier, IMDb 250, one of those movies that why would you even try to do it over again? And of course they did it over again. I want to say in 1974. I want to say it was the next one. And so, and that didn't live up to the silent film because the silent film, not many people know this, but All Quiet on the Western Front, the silent film, that's what really kicked off war films and how they're shot today. That and A Birth of a Nation, obviously. A Birth of a Nation is just a film that, for all of its controversy, is the film of films to where you wouldn't have film language without that movie. So it's kind of interesting with All Quiet on the Western Front because you go, well, they tried to tackle it before and it kind of fell flat on its face. It was all right, but it wasn't anywhere close to the 30s. So we're going to do it again. And I want to say, out of all three of these films, this last iteration of All Quiet on the Western Front is somewhere in the middle of one and two. I would say it's somewhere in the middle between the 70s version and the 30s version. I thought certain things were rushed, like his friendship with his friends and how close they were was kind of rushed in the beginning, just so we could get to the bleakness of war. But what they showed in the bleakness of war, especially World War I, was just so terrifying that they really captured what it was probably like. They probably captured about 0.1% of a percentile of what it was actually like to live in the trench. But even getting that much, it really gives you an idea of what those boys during World War I had to really face. You know, unlike 1917, I didn't think captured trench warfare to its fullest horror. I thought 1917 was beautiful, don't get me wrong. And I thought some of the things that they did, especially trying to do one continuous take for about, was an hour and a half long, 2 hours long, and kind of hide the cuts. I thought that was magnificently done and well achieved, especially the camera work. But All Quiet on the Western Front just it totally puts you in the trenches with Paul and his friends and getting shell shocked and having to go over the top and through no man's land and dealing with all that and seeing a flamethrower for the first time, seeing an airplane for the first time, seeing a mechanized warfare for the first time, a tank for the first time. You know, it's incredible the amount of firsts and the amount of devastation those guys had to face. And when you start really thinking that way, I believe this latest All Quiet really captured that spirit.
Yeah, I think that the tank scenes were intense because you don't often see the tank element in World War I movie. You don't yet. I can't think of too many where you see that, but this one really brought it home in a big way. I mean, and talk about seeing a new tech juggernaut for their time. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this in the review. I said, put yourself in these guys' shoes. You come from like some rural area or even maybe a city. You might have seen a car once in your life, maybe twice. You know, we're talking this is 1914, 1915. So automobiles were just coming up. You might have seen a plane, but it was in a newspaper clipping. You never seen one actually fly.
Right.
You might have only heard of a tank. The cannons weren't like the cannons from 10 years ago. They're recoilless now, so you don't have to sit there and reset them for every time you fire it. So that means the rate of fire is exponentially even quicker. So you take all those elements, and then you put that kid in a trench, and he has to face all these things at once for the first time ever. And and it's absolutely terrifying. You know, it's not like you don't want to say, well, it's not like World War II, because World War II obviously had its own merits of horror, but World War I, it's mechanized warfare beyond any capable reason at that time.
Yeah,
and I really think
wraps and everything else in those trenches. I mean, they make dirt coffee. I mean, it was disgusting. What they had to do to even just survive the elements, much less war.
Right, and I mean, on a daily basis, they had to deal with tunnel collapses, not to the merit of the enemy on the other side, but just because the tunnel was built wrong. So, you had to deal with that. You had to deal with collapses. You had to deal with starvation, famine. Obviously, the Spanish flu was running through the trenches as well.
Yeah.
You had all these things. It's just incredible what those boys had to face. I don't think people of our generation really appreciate that, but I mean, once you start putting it on that level and then watching All Quiet on the Western Front, you can understand why it's so bleak, why that movie is so bleak.
And I think it also does a historical service in that it also did a keen depiction of just the insanity at the end of the war when they had agreed upon a time to stop, and then you have that the aristocratic class officer general that decides he wants his last little minute of glory before the clock stops in the war. So the war's over. They've already agreed to stop it, but he forces all those kids to go out and fight one more battle for his personal glory while he's sitting back in the mansion. And those things really happened, and in that war, and they had senseless battles at the very end that were pretty much fought for that reason. So I think that's another thing it did well, is it kind of brought that kind of weird, crazy aspect through as to what happened at the very, very end.
Exactly. And if you watch this documentary, it came out 2018, I believe. It was called They Shall Not Grow Old. And it was by Peter Jackson. And what he did was he cleaned up all that World War I footage, and he had all those testimonials from all the soldiers that lived. And, you know, in the beginning, all the soldiers said exactly what the book All Quiet on the Western Front said. You know, they thought they were going, and war was the greatest adventure, and they thought they were going, that's what they were doing. They were going on the greatest adventure a boy could ever go on. Most boys grow up, and that's like one of the few things they want to do. And, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That was one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to go to war so bad. When I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I was playing like Army Man, or, you know, around my neighborhood. So, you know, but with They Shall Not Grow Old and All Quiet on the Western Front, as soon as they hit, like the first time they get shelled, they're like, oh, wow, this is enjoyable. Like, wow, this is just like what I thought war was, chaps, you know, pass the coffee or pass the tea. And then all of a sudden, you know, it happens night after night after night. And then they start realizing that they have to go over the top and run right into machine gun fire. And maybe they'll just get hit in the leg and lose it. And they'll be considered the lucky one. You know, and that's when it's not an adventure anymore. It's a horror story.
Hello.
And I think that, and I think that's what All Quiet did with this one, that they really brought out the horror aspect of it. I think they really kind of they dropped the ball when it came to being kind of close to the original book and stuff like that. But what they lost being parallel to the book, they really gained in bringing out the horror elements of war. And I thought that was excellently done. It didn't glorify it whatsoever. I felt like I needed a wash afterwards, so I watched a comedy. I watched Ace Ventura. I watched Ace Ventura afterwards, or Dumb and Dumber, I can't remember what, and I was just like, okay, this is better. Because I'm like, I need to get out of this. Exactly. Some eye bleach.
No, it was good. But on the subject of war movies, though, you did kick off your channel with an absolute triumph of this year, and it's another example. We mentioned Cobra Kai earlier, but another example of a franchise that embraced and cared about what its audience wanted and didn't mess around and delivered just simply a good story. And that's Top Gun Maverick, which is also you know, a type of war movie, much different, obviously, in today's world, but it's an example of another one where they embrace the audience, and it's another franchise film. But this one, they didn't mess around. They didn't try to, try to make it anything different in core than what made it popular. And I think that was the secret to its success.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily see where they would have made Maverick he gets talked down to by everybody. You know, they had the female pilot in there. She could have easily talked down to him and said, you know what, old white man, what we're going to do is we're going to do it this way. But they didn't do that. They had Penny Benjamin's daughter, who was this close to like talking down to him, but she didn't. And he was the same core character that he was in the 1987 film, but he was different. He was a little bit more jaded in certain aspects. He was a little bit more humble in other aspects, but at the same time, you recognize him for Maverick, and this film treated him as Maverick, and this film treated him like he knew his stuff. Like he was still the same confident, balls to the wall naval aviator. And that's what I truly loved about this film. And another thing I loved about Maverick was the fact that every time they had a chance to do the cliche thing, which was to throw back to the original, they did, but then they put a nice little twist to it. So I thought, oh, great, Goose's kid is there, and he's going to be blaming Mav for Goose's death. But really, it wasn't about that at all. It wasn't about Mav ejecting and Goose breaking his neck. It had nothing to do with it. You know, it had everything to do with Mav pushing his paperwork down to the bottom of the pile. So he went and graduate and become a pilot from the Naval Academy. And I was like, okay, that's nice little spin there. And they did that a couple other times throughout the film where you thought they were going to throw it back to the first film, and they do. But then they they take a nice little detour with it as well, and I was like, wow, it's actually a little fresh. Because a lot of times you get a sequel that all it is a rehash, but a different name or a number 2 in front of it, and you go, well, I've seen this before. It was part 1. This one was a little bit different. I think it gave the audience something familiar to play with, but at the same time, something completely brand new. I mean, those flight scenes were incredible. I mean, just incredible. And you couldn't. I was sitting in the theater, and I'm like, anybody who's waiting for this to get home is out of their mind. They're not going to get anywhere near the experience I'm getting right now. I mean, it's just those IMAX cameras attached to F-15 Hornets was just something. It was a spectacular thing to watch on the big screen.
I tell you what, though, there were some moments that really get you in the feels. Like for me, it was the Val Kilmer scene. I mean, boy, it hit you in the feels. Yeah. So there's some nice moments too.
You watched the documentary. You watched the Val Kilmer documentary. Then you're watching it. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. That Val Kilmer documentary kind of hits you in the feels a little harder than the scene does.
Oh yeah, it does. But even in the context of the character, though, there was that was a heck of a scene that they had there.
Like I said with that scene, like I said in the review, it was you weren't watching. It wasn't even like you were watching two actors play the roles. You were watching two friends that finally got to hang out again, and it was really nice to watch.
Reminisce.
These two guys reminisce, and usually when they do characters that reminisce, you don't really feel it. But man, there was something about that scene where they sit down and kind of reminisce with each other, and you just feel like there's something beyond what they're talking about in the scene from the script. You can tell that they're talking about the times that they had filming the first Top Gun, and you go, Jesus, they really captured something special here. And I don't know anybody who doesn't think otherwise with that.
Yeah, then they make the implausible plausible because they have an F-14 Tomcat thwarting two Su-57s, two fifth-generation Su-57 fighters. And I'm like, wow. So I thought they were screwed. But that was one heck of a sequence.
Hey, you know what? Anybody else flying that F-14 would have been screwed, but that was Pete Maverick Mitchell in there.
It was. That was awesome.
And he knew exactly what to do with an airplane that has a turning radius about 10% of what he's fighting.
Yeah.
So it was incredible.
That was something else.
There was a YouTube video out there of two combat aviators. One was in a Su-57, and the other one was in an F-14, and they tried to simulate. Like, was there any possible scenario where this F-14 would have won against this Su? No. There was 100% no. Yeah. Like, there was nothing.
When I saw that, I was like, there's no way when I saw that, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
But you know what? There is one thing. It needs to be piloted by Pete Maverick Mitchell.
Right. Exactly. That's the difference. But that's another good one.
Yeah.
So, but before, we are getting a little deeper into the show here, and I don't want our audience to go through this without realizing that you are a brilliant author, and I say that with the absolute confidence because I have read your book, Why Not Wichita, and I definitely want to give you a chance to tell folks, because I know there is a long-awaited sequel that's on the horizon, hopefully this year. I hope that's what you're going to tell me. So can you give us any updates?
I can. First of all, I'd like to apologize to the fans that are listening, the fans of Why Not Wichita. I know I promised.
Don't apologize. No, don't apologize. You're great. You've been busy.
But at the same time, I promised part 2 by the third quarter of last year, and I completely dropped the ball, and that's 100% my fault and on me. Certain things came up in other people's lives that just wasn't going to make that deadline anywhere feasible, but we're all back on track now. Everybody's good to go. artwork is finished. It's in the editing process, and we should be seeing Why Not Wichita Part 2, Wind of Whispers, by third quarter this year, if not sooner. It all depends on when my editor gets back, but we're good to go here. But yeah, I dropped the ball and the buck stops with me. And so, yeah, we're all done. I'm done with Part 2. I'm done with Part 3. Part 3 just needs art and editing. Part 2 just needs to be done with editing, and then just some promotion here, and we're good to go.
Ready to rock and roll. Holly, are you listening? Holly,
are
you there? All right. I'm going to say, Why Not Wichita 2 release party this summer. Cough, cough, cough. Just going to throw that at you.
There you go.
But that's good news.
Fantastic.
I'm excited. I mean, that part 1 was so good, and folks are listening. Yeah, Why Not Wichita? And that's where I reference in my introduction of you comes from. As you being the man that put Wichita on the literary map. So I can't wait till they give you the keys to the city one day. That's gonna be a fun ceremony. I might actually, now that we have a good working vehicle, we'll have to drive out to it. But it's a great. It's a mix of dystopian, it's science fiction, it's got some fantastical edges. It's just a really nice. It does have a blend of things, and it's very, very action driven and character driven. I mean, it's a really wonderful book, and I hope that folks listening might give you a try with that, because it's definitely a pleaser. I mean, it definitely delivers on several fronts.
Oh, thank you.
Well, if he makes it to Imaginarium this year, which will be the 10th anniversary, we could have a release party.
That's what I'm suggesting. That's what I was suggesting in my clever way.
Yeah.
I would love to be a part. Imaginarium is again in July. Deeper in July this time.
Yeah.
It's 14 to 16.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would love to. We'll see.
We'll have to
I have a baby girl.
See if we can work that out.
Girl on the way.
I wasn't going to bring that up until you did, but congratulations. I didn't know what all you wanted to share tonight, but now that you've said it, congratulations, and I'm very excited for you two. Yeah, that is going to be awesome.
Thank you. It's been quite a journey for us, and interestingly enough, my baby girl is due on my dad's birthday as well. So that's all interesting. She's due May 6th.
Oh wow!
And yeah. So we'll see.
Spectacular.
I can't wait. I can't wait to meet her officially, and every day has just been a blessing.
That's
I
awesome.
have a smile on my face. My wife has she has an app that tells me what size my daughter is.
Yes.
On every day, and yesterday her palms were the size of dimes, and her index finger was the size of a Tic Tac.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went,
well, she's growing, then. She's growing.
Yeah, she is. And so it just brings us, every time she tells me something like that, it just brings a smile to my face. I feel blessed. Last year has just been a crazy year of just positivity for me, and that right there, that's the world to me.
That's the best.
So I can't wait.
Cherry on the top.
Well, see, if you lived closer, you'd have a free babysitter, because Holly is like the baby whisperer.
Okay.
I mean, she's like she literally stops traffic in the front of a Walmart, and nobody will mess with Holly when she's in that zone to see a baby. I mean, and yes, she does. She has. And I've watched it many times. She'll stop traffic in the entrance of a Walmart to say hi to a baby. Yeah, she loves them. So if you live closer, you'd have free babysitting services.
Well, maybe if we have one of those really long nights that all newborn parents tell us about, maybe we'll head up to Kentucky and drop her off for a little bit.
You might need it. Yeah, you might need it. A little. The Holly and Steven bed and breakfast. Yeah, you might need a little. A day of assistance.
There you go.
Yeah. So. But that's great, Pete. I'm excited. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, because I wasn't sure if you were going to bring that up or not. So that's awesome.
No, thank you. thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about my baby, because it's just a wonderful thing.
And we'll give you many more opportunities to do that too, and maybe we'll get lucky and we'll have the get to see the baby maybe at Imaginarium. Who knows? Might be too early, but
she could be maybe not. She could be a panelist.
Yeah.
She could be a panelist. Maybe one of her baby books would be runner up. Just runner up though.
Right.
You don't want to give her too big of a head.
Coming right out of the gate, right?
Yeah, she comes right out of the gate and she wins awards. I mean, it will make sense because she is my girl, but a lot of people are going to get jealous, and you don't want that. So,
well, I would say if you deserve an award, you should get it. Regardless.
That's right. She's going to get all the awards.
Yeah,
all of them. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome to watch her grow up with you and all your crazy adventures as you become a YouTube titan and best-selling author. So it's going to be quite fun to watch all this play out.
Your wife says that she's going to do cosplay. Said the baby will be in cosplay. She could be the baby from Willow.
Oh my God. Who said that?
That's awesome.
Who said
your wife?
That is awesome.
That would be awesome. I'll be Matt Morgan.
Ha! Oh, yes. Oh, we've got it now.
There we go.
That would be delightful.
Val Kilmer.
That would be, Matt Mardigan is one of my favorites from the 80s. Oh my God.
He's one of my favorites too. He was so cool. He was totally cool. Man. Peck. Yeah,
let's do this. But we'll have to suspend you in a cage. No, Holly. We'll have Pete suspended in a cage in the middle of the Creatives Alley for a while, like Matt Mardigan was.
There you go.
I think I'm going to need a wig, though.
We should rig that up.
Yeah,
we can rig this up.
Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah,
and Shrews and Brady Allen can play the huge burly warriors that come to mess with him while he's in the cage. We could have a whole scene. We could do this. Yeah.
That sounds great. And then I'll have my baby girl chew on Blackroot.
But just in case the live show we go over just a hair, tell folks where they can get Why Not Wichita, and then also go over your notes for how to find your lovely channel Copa Catania.
Okay, so the book Why Not Wichita you can find at your local Amazon store at Amazon.com, and just type in Why Not Wichita. It should be the first hit you get up.
Yep.
With Copa Catania, it's youtube.com/ at Copa Catania. You can search YouTube Copa Catania, and I should be the first thing that pops up there as well. And you can always find me on the Twitters at Copa Catania, all one word.
Yep.
And there you can read all my thoughts and go absolutely not blocking this man. Yeah.
And banter with Pete and become a fan and get blocked.
With me. Yeah, or you can read my thoughts and say this is a crazy man and I do not want to be a part of this. At any moment, man with white coats and butterfly nets is picking this man up. So I better not be a part of it. Might as well just block him and walk away.
Well, for my part, I'm grateful I stuck around. Yeah, and definitely have enjoyed watching your ride so far since I met you online. I believe it's on Minds, I believe, but yeah, we became friends there first.
We met on Parler.
Or maybe it's Parler, something like that. But yeah, I know it wasn't one of the main platforms, but but ever since then, I've just loved watching your trajectory. I mean, it's been exciting, with all the developments.
It's been interesting as well. I need to plug one more channel, and that is Cannoli Sasquatch. You can search Cannoli Sasquatch, all one word, on YouTube. That is where we do a live, every Monday live show. We either review a film or we are talking topical stuff, usually entertainment and gaming, cultural stuff. It oscillates between the two. Next week, we come back from our hiatus, and we're reviewing Silence of the Lambs.
Oh. Nice. Nice. Have the Chianti, right? Yeah, have a little Chianti with that one. Yes.
A little kidney and some Chianti.
Yes.
So, it's all been crazy. It's just been a crazy experience. Like I said, it's very humbling to me. I can't get over it. I thank God every day that He's blessed me with something like this, and to meet all these great people like you and Holly, and everybody I met at Imaginarium, and now everybody who I'm meeting through the YouTube sphere. It's just been an incredible year last year. What a hell of a way to ring it in 2023. And then all this happening to me, and then the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, like Holly said, having a baby girl. So I have no complaints whatsoever. I am blessed.
Well, you have us in your corner among many others that are out there who love you. And so, going forward, I'm hoping for you to have a monstrously wonderful big year ahead. Book front obviously on the family front, and then, then also in of course, the YouTube territory. So, but keep it up, man. You're doing great.
You guys have.
And thank you for putting it for me, giving me an outlet so I can rage vent about the shitty fantasy projects that are released by all the big studios.
Oh man, you know what? It was so funny when you went off. I was just like, I'm just going to watch him type because he's going off right now. The three little ellipsy dots that you get, like, oh, Stephen wrote a paragraph, and then there's another ellipses starting again. I'm like, wow.
That describes it. Thank you for putting up with me. I needed the outlet.
I enjoyed every moment of that rant. And I just want to thank you and Holly for being in my corner. And I'm very much loyal to you guys. I'm back in your corner as well. You guys have been nothing but the best to me, and I can't thank you enough, honestly.
Well, you're welcome, and we're definitely have you back sooner than later, because I want to have you on more than usual for our. Usually we always bring guests back, of course, that we love, but I want to have you on more regularly because our conversations are fantastic, and I would love to have you come to so we can vent more on today's stuff.
That's just the antibiotics talking, Stephen. You're not having a good conversation with me right now. Don't you want somebody entertaining on your show? So someone will bring someone to listen to.
This is a great entertaining show.
I was gonna say, you filled the bill.
Look, you guys, once you get off the antibiotics and everything, listen to the show again and see if you have the same opinion, please.
Well, hey, if we listen to it again, then at least we'll get the listen count up. So there's a positive.
Well, there you go. Well, see, I always have the good ideas, even when I'm not even forming ideas. I have ideas for you guys. There you go. Get your listener count up and listen again off the antibiotics. I'm sorry if you can't make it through the whole show, but
right. Oh man. Well, thank you, Pete. I mean, it's just been a blast tonight, and just everything I was hoping for and more. And so, you were blessing us, and I definitely hope that you join us sooner than later, and keep obviously keep me posted on your endeavors.
Happy
you,
New
man.
Year, and I love you guys. And anytime, any place, anywhere, you got me.
You got it.
If you got
friend.
any baby questions, hit me up because
Holly's an expert. She's even given birth. Pete, seriously, she's given birth to an Amish kid. His name was Cletus, I believe.
I didn't give birth to an Amish kid. I gave birth to 4 children, but I actually delivered my neighbor's baby.
That's what I meant. Delivered.
Who happened to be Amish. Yes. and it was down and dirty. I mean, it was me and the husband who had never seen a birth because they don't usually, get in on that. And I told him, I said, "Will you take that end? I'll take this one," and we did it. But yeah.
Well, the way Steven was describing it was that you gave birth to an Amish kid.
I gave birth to an Amish child.
Wrong word choice. Yes, no, yeah, that was probably the wrong word choice.
Like Weird Al?
Delivered. delivered an Amish baby.
Delivered. Yes, I did.
Well, that makes.
And I have 6 grandbabies. So Holly. Now your story makes completely more sense that there was an Amish man at the birth of an Amish kid. That was not yours. Okay. That is not mine.
Yeah. I thought Steven maybe invited an Amish guy in while you were giving birth to an Amish kid. I don't know.
It's like a book idea here, man.
I know. Now we've come up with a plot at the end of the show for a very bad movie. If it could be so bad it's good.
Well, we can make this movie for $5.
Right. It's come full circle.
That's great.
We end on a high note. We have a movie plot for a bad good movie that will go in our B block. That'll go in our B block screenings.
It's B block and ready to rock.
There you go.
Oh God. Yep. I'm going to think about this all night. Thanks, Pete. Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, Holly, you want to do the honors tonight? Because I'm just about to die laughing. So. That's great.
It's been an interesting show. Thank you, Pete, for joining us. Don't be a stranger, Of course. We definitely have to have you back, and congrats on that baby on the way. And it'll go fast. I'm telling you, it will go fast. But join us next week, everybody, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another great guest, another great show, another great chat. And we will catch you then, and stay well and safe and happy in the new year.